So just how far has Arizona gone? How far has America gone? Where are we at in this? Is the hysteria around illegal immigrants and other brown people not unlike the hysteria around after 9/11? I mean, what's going on here? Thom Tancredo has been in the middle of this for years. He's been on our program numerous times, going back 8 years now. He's now the chairman, former member of Congress from Colorado, he is 6th District, as I recall, and now is the chairman of the Rocky Mountain Foundation, the website therockymountainfoundation.org. Congressman, welcome back to the program.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure to join you as usual.
Thank you. This poll by the New York Times CBS suggests that when they asked about the Arizona law on illegal immigration, particularly in the context of it providing for racial profiling, or essentially that, 51% of Americans said that's fine with them. 9% of Americans said it doesn't go far enough, which means 60% of Americans are like, yeah, let's do racial profiling. Only 36% say goes too far. Doesn't that alarm you?
Alarm me. Well, it is a reflection, I think. Well, first of all, go back to the poll itself, and can you tell me the exact wording? Does it say if this actually allows for racial profiling, would you be in favor of it?
The question that was asked of people, I just have a fragment of the question here in the news story. It says, quote, to question those they suspect to be illegal immigrants and ask that they produce verification of their status.
Yeah, well, that doesn't frighten me at all. Why would that frighten me? I mean, somebody thinks there's something wrong with that? Certainly, if we were talking about pulling people over because of the way they looked, of course not. That's ridiculous. But that isn't the bill, and no one would pass such. I mean, I won't say that. It's just that certainly I would never support it. And by the way, what I'm saying right now is what got me in all kinds of trouble, because I said I would never support a bill that allowed for people to just be pulled over because of the color of their skin. Well, some blogger took that, put a headline on it that said, Tancredo says that the Arizona bill doesn't go far enough. And it goes too far. It goes too far. And that got picked up and put on the Huffington Post, and from that point on, why it was Tancredo thinks that the bill has gone too far. I absolutely don't. I was saying that it is that would be a problem, but it is not that bill.
Okay, well, here's what happened to an Arizonan just a couple of days ago. This fellow is V. Newton, and he was interviewed on a local radio station yesterday. Here's what he had to say.
They pulled me over and they asked me questions about what country I was from. They asked me where I was coming from and where am I going and what am I doing. The questions were stated to me in the voice of tone I felt that were very degrading to me. So I simply stated to them that I'm a native of America, and I'm a native to the land, and I'm a Native American.
Turns out this guy actually is a Native American, literally. And he was stopped at a police checkpoint in Arizona after 4 cars with blonde or light-haired and white-skinned people were allowed to pass through. He was stopped.
Then I think he's got a pretty good case to make here that there is a problem. But where they do that bill hasn't even been.
I know, it's not even law yet.
It's not even
it's
law
like
yet.
everybody's doing this stuff. And this is my concern, Thom Tancredo, is that we're starting down a road that is a really dangerous one. Governor Jan Brewer just sent on Thursday of last week sent a bill to the state legislature in Arizona that would cause schools to lose all of their funding, all of their state funding, if they offer any courses that, quote, and this is language from the bill, are designed primarily for students of a particular ethnic group or advocate ethnic solidarity, end quote.
Right.
In other words, no more black history, no more Mexican-American studies. This is actually targeted specifically at the Tucson Unified School District's popular Mexican-American Studies Department. They're trying to get rid of this thing.
Good.
Well, here's the question then. We're already teaching white history in the United States. We call it world history. It's all about European leaders, European kings, European queens, white American presidents. We got plenty of white history out there. What's wrong with saying, here's the history of Hispanics or here's the history of African Americans, which was never reported because they haven't been in charge for the last 300 years?
Well, because, of course, it is in there. It's in the textbooks today. It was in when I was in school. Nothing has changed when you talk about American history. There's all kinds of references to people who are not European and not white. So the idea that you only have a selective curriculum at the present time focused on white males is inaccurate.
No, you and I both know that's true. We both went through that curriculum. How many African American authors did you study in high school or college?
Well, okay, how many? Yeah, that's true. How many Italian American authors did I study? The fact is that you can only you take a look depending on what you're trying to teach. If you're trying to teach about American history and world history, why would you not focus on Western civilization, which is our history, whether we like it or not?
Because the people who make up the society are as important ultimately as the leaders. And our notion of history has historically been, it's going to be the story of what was the order of the kings and queens of England? What's the order of the white presidents of the United States? Who were the people? I mean, even
what should we teach about American history? The order of the presidents in Mexico? What has that got to do with it?
Well, I think it would be really useful.
Why are you so worried about a curriculum that focuses on Western civilization? It is our history. Whether you
my
are
recollection
black or
of,
white
for example,
or pink or blue.
My recollection.
If you come to the United States, that is who we at least were and hopefully are. There's nothing wrong with Western civilization. There's nothing wrong with it being focused on, even with all of its warts, even with all the bad things. If you tell the truth about who we are, I still think we end up on top. There's a reason why. There is a reason why.
What does Western civilization mean to you?
Yeah, if you open the gates all over the world, people run one way.
Well, they run a lot of ways. In Europe, they're running into Europe. Here, they're running into the United States.
That's called the West. It's called Western civilization. Western Europe.
Okay. So that's the rich civilization. That's like saying, there's all kinds of money at Goldman Sachs. Let's all run in there.
Why do you think people do it? Do you think that they're running to get something as bad as what they've got?
No, they're trying to get money. But my point is that we're not teaching, for example, the history of the Spanish-American War or the Mexican-American War. We're not teaching Lincoln's point of view. Lincoln thought it was Polk, wasn't it, who was the president who declared that war? Lincoln thought that the president of the United States should be put in jail. He was very outspoken against the Mexican-American War.
Body Lincoln, they called him. That was in my textbook. That was in my history
textbook. Well, it wasn't in mine. I didn't learn the Mexican point of view.
Gone to a Catholic school.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, maybe that the Catholics were more into it because they have a very significant presence in Central and South America. But I can tell you that in a secular, normal, all-American school in Lansing, Michigan, where I grew up, and it was no slouch of a school system. We had a hell of a good school system, and what we learned basically was the Daniel Boone side of it was the Alamo guy. Davy Crockett side of the story, and we didn't learn what was going on in Mexico. We didn't who's Zapata, who is Zapatero, who is the history of the history of the Native American cultures that were here for 10,000-20,000 years. We didn't study any of that stuff.
One reason maybe is because, frankly, in the total scheme of things, in the history of this world, in the things people do have to learn about, in the civilizations that have the greatest impact, you do have to focus on Western civilization.
And this is where I think that's the absolute horrific mistake, is that Western civilization is what has brought us a planet that's about to melt down. We're in the middle of the sixth greatest extinction.
You don't really mean that,
I really do. Well, I believe that Western civilization has built into its core some fundamental sicknesses that are destroying this planet.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's the best thing that has happened to this world. And if you think that for one moment that Eastern Europe under the communist system, Eastern Bloc or Russia,
I am not advocating that. I am saying that we need to learn some lessons from indigenous people on this continent.